Dear Redditors, I'm really disappointed with everything lately. And the source of disappointment is always this one person, my stepmom, E. Not that I'm surprised because it's always her, but my disappointment keeps growing and growing. All those mixed signals, and then it settles on how it always is resentment. So a few days ago, I graduated from school. I got my medal, hat, and memento, and other things graduates get. After clicking lots of pictures with my friends and walking the familiar corridors one last time, we left. We still had 10 days before we had to leave, so we decided to stay a bit longer. I was on my way to my room when the receptionist stopped me and handed me a parcel. I was confused at first, but then I saw the name. It was from E, my stepmom. I took the box and went to my dorm to open it. I carefully unwrapped the box and found a letter that said that she knew that she had been unfair to me for her selfish reasons and she intended to change that. She apologized for being a terrible person to me and wanted to make amends. This gift was the first step to healing our relationship. I looked further inside the box and found a diamond bracelet. It was beautiful and quite expensive, might I add. A few days passed since I received the gift when I got a call from E. She told me that she had run into financial trouble due to a mistake she made. She was short on cash that she needed to pay back urgently. Thus, she needed me to return the bracelet so that she could use the cash to rectify her mistake. I agreed and hung up the call. I put the bracelet in the same box she had sent me and made arrangements to send it back. On the 10th day, we left our dorms, which were being prepared for the next batch. After 2.5 hours of traveling, I reached my stop and got down from the bus. I was walking on my way home when I saw from a distance a truck parked outside our house. I saw E standing near the truck, paying cash to a man who got into his truck and drove away. When I reached my house, I asked her what happened. She replied, "There were too many unwanted things in the house, so I had them thrown away to clear some space." I said okay and went in. I was on my way to my room when E told me to have lunch first. Honestly, I was so hungry that I followed her advice. I had a hearty lunch and was chatting with her, although throughout the little discussion I saw how she was sweating and nervously chuckling from time to time. When I asked her about it, she said that she simply missed me and that she's fumbling for good topics of discussion so that I wouldn't get bored. After having lunch, I felt even more tired and sleepy. Without even bothering to change, I crashed into my bed. I didn't even need to close the windows to block the light. It was already done. After hours of good sleep, I woke up. I looked at the phone. It was 5 p.m. There were also many missed calls and texts from my friend who said that our suitcases got exchanged. We had identical suitcases and didn't bother much because her house was nearby. I replied that I would return it and then got up and turned on the light, and what I saw baffled me. I looked at my room. It was completely different. All the posters were shredded. My CDs and DVDs and my musical instruments were gone. My clothes were missing, and there was some torn fabric still lying on the floor near the closet. Thankfully, I took all my favorite stuff with me to my dorm. Those were safe at my friend's. I searched the entire house but found none of the missing items. E was not at home either. I checked out the entire house and found a bottle of sleeping pills hidden behind the plates. I understood what happened, but to double check, I approached my neighbor S, who is the gossip queen, and she confirmed that she saw E tossing my stuff in the truck like it was trash. She also said that E looked weirdly happy about it. S even recorded it on her phone. I saw everything and my blood started to boil. I asked her to send a copy of the recording, which I then forwarded to my dad. My dad told me to wait for him to come back, but I was running out of patience. I needed to teach this chameleon a lesson. After an hour or so, E came back home. I confronted her. At first, she pretended to not know anything, and then I showed her the video. That's when she dropped all pretense and finally expressed her dislike for me. She told me that she had loved my dad even before he got to know Mom and married her within a year. She told me how she hated my mom for taking her beloved away from her. Then Mom died, and she approached my dad. At first, he didn't want to marry her, but then she convinced him that I needed a stepmom. She did everything because she loved Dad. She tried to love me despite me being my mom's daughter, and lately she finally started warming up to me, actually liking me a bit. But things went upside down when Dad made a drunken confession just before the day she asked me to return her bracelet. He told her that he loved my mom and me more than anything. When she asked about herself, my dad said he loved her, but probably would never be able to love her the way he did my mom. Something inside her snapped. She knew that she was the second woman in Dad's life. When Dad told her this, it felt like an insult somehow. When Dad wasn't at home, she thought about it over and over again. Every time she replayed the confession in her head, her hatred of me and my mom increased. So she went into my room and turned the place upside down, breaking my instruments and photo frames and tearing my clothes. She decided to retrieve her gift from me and use the money to call a truck and throw away the trash the next morning. That is today. But I came home earlier than expected. She panicked and thus buttered me up and fed me a sleeping pill to buy more time to prepare herself as to how to break the news in such a way as to hurt me even more. Mission successful, E. I am shattered from within. She looked at me, enjoying the state I was in. But she didn't know my stubbornness. I fetched the oil and matchbox and went past her and locked her out of her room. She started banging on the door, but I wasn't keen on opening it. I turned her room upside down and gathered all her stuff in a pile, poured oil on it, and set it on fire. After making sure more than half of the stuff is burnt, I let her in. She pushed me aside and fell on her knees. All her postcards, photo albums, Dad's gifts, everything was lying in ashes. I looked at her one last time and said, "Good luck sorting everything out," and left the house after taking my friend's suitcase and my acoustic guitar with me. I didn't want that woman to damage the last gift from my mom. I reached my friend's home 2 hours ago, had dinner, and took a rest. And now I'm writing this thread because I just need all the support I can get. As of now, I'm planning to stay here till Dad returns. Update 1. Hey everyone, thanks for hearing me out. There's a slight complication. He wouldn't be able to come back before a week. I have informed my dad that I will be staying at my friend's till he returns. E's recent outbursts still gave me nightmares. The way she confessed everything and showed disgust, she was hysterical and it scared the living daylights out of me. Currently, my friend is helping me get through it. The trauma is still fresh. E is still at home. She is too stubborn to just leave and she is not afraid of anything. I think that's what happens when you have nothing to lose. And the fact that I'm sympathizing with someone who practically ruined my life disgusts me even more. Update 2. Hey guys, Dad's back. Even though he asked me to come back, I told him that I don't feel safe with E. I came back nonetheless, only to confront her. My stuff is still at my friend's. E desperately tried to pin it on me to make me look crazy, probably hoping to get access to my inheritance, but she had no idea that I recorded her conversation and sent it to my dad. My dad has opted for divorce and the case is going on. Update 3. Hey guys, my dad and E are officially divorced now. The case was complicated because of how calculative she was. She managed to acquire alimony from my dad, and he had to pay a heavy price for me. I know I wanted to pursue a real musical career, but my dad needs me now more than ever. For now, I've decided to support him in whichever way I can, which includes part-time jobs and musical gigs. Who knows if I get lucky in the process and catch the eye of a good musician and get my first break. Yeah, wishful thinking. Hope things get well soon. Thank you guys for being there for me. It means a lot. NTA, glad that woman's out of the picture for good. To be honest, she is creepy, but she needed help. If she got the treatment she needed earlier, things wouldn't have escalated this much. But I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone. It is what it is. You didn't deserve to lose your belongings like that, and it sucked. Luckily, she was not able to dump the things with sentimental value. It's never too late to start again. All the best, darling. NTA, as much as I want to despise her, love does make us do crazy things, and didn't have patience for her obsessive, selfish love to evolve into a pure, selfless love. I wish you all the best for the future. I know you will make your dad proud. Next story. I, male, 19, am the oldest son in my family, and I have two brothers, male 13 and male 11, respectively. With this context in mind, let me get into this story. My mother, who was always an awful, awful person, divorced my father, male, 42, when I was 9, and my brothers were 3 and 1, respectively, and left my father to go marry a musician in Texas. In the divorce proceeding, my mother, supported by her new boyfriend, was more than willing to give over full custody of my brothers and I to my dad. Nevertheless, since the divorce was nearly a decade ago, my father raised us all on his own, maybe with some help from my grandparents. He is an amazing dad, and he never made us feel like we needed anything. That being said, during that period of giving us the life we deserved, he put his own personal life on hold. For close to 8 years, my father hadn't gone on so much as a date or anything. He has moved on, but I think the divorce and the infidelity damaged a very core part of him, which he sometimes still struggles with, although he'll never say that. With this in mind, after nearly a year of convincing, I managed to push my father to go on a date with a friend of mine's mother, who herself was a widow. They hit it off, and they have been together for almost 2 years now. The issue is, since my dad introduced her to my brothers some 6 months ago, they have made her life hell. They say she's trying to replace our mom, who was already an awful person, but they were too young to know that. She's trying really hard to connect with them, as she is constantly trying to win them over with gifts and fun plans. Clearly, she is struggling. I'm posting this because a few days ago I came back home from college to just check in with my family. What I saw was just awful. My brothers were refusing to eat food she had made because she had made it. So literally refusing to even recognize her existence. The sweet lady she is, she goes along with it and continues to try. But the other day when I went downstairs to get a bike pump, I saw my dad trying to console her as she was crying about how my brothers hate her. At this point, I got super angry, took both of my brothers into a room and just yelled at them both. Both of them since then have become super quiet and, perhaps fearing my anger, eat what is given to them, do as they are told, and have, perhaps begrudgingly, begun to listen to her. The issue is, my girlfriend says that this was not the right decision. She said I should have let my dad handle it, and all I did was make them hate her more. That wasn't my intention. With this in mind, AITA? First edit. I do want to clarify that after I yelled at them, I talked to my dad. He has tried to talk with them, but to no avail. You have to go easy on my dad here. From his perspective, he can't be too hard on them, as he is the only parent they have to lean on. Despite this, he is constantly trying to sit down and talk with them about it. Second edit. I want to just say a few things. The person most opposed to her is actually my youngest brother, which makes sense as he is the only one of us who remembers our mother fondly. I get not wanting to replace your parent, but gosh darn it, I wish I had her as a mom. She's so sweet. She's trying to impress them by making stuff they like. She's constantly going out of her way to help them with their work. Maybe it's me projecting, but I went through my teenage years without my mom. I know how hard it was because I was there. She can be that for them. And I don't think they understand just how much that means. Furthermore, she's trying to meet them where they are at, and just don't know what I can do to try and get them to at least give her an opportunity. She's also not trying to be their mother. She's just trying to help them as much as she can, and that's because we can't help as much anymore. My grandparents are getting old, and I am in a college that is 6 hours away. Third update, edit. After reading all of your comments and talking to my girlfriend, I think I've sort of made a rough action plan. I want to first talk to my dad and maybe take some time to really sit down with both of my brothers and to really tell them the whole truth about our mother. If they know, I think it might go better. Then, from there, I think a more personal conversation with just me, where I'll apologize for my temper and then talk about how families change and it's not due to her, but just due to everyone getting older. As for my dad's girlfriend, I think maybe just letting her know how much we all appreciate her and love her for all she does. She has really become someone we can all rely on. But more than that, someone who is a part of our family, and we love her for that. NTA, and not a bad idea. Often kids will listen to an older sibling way more than they would listen to a parent. Your next step is to sit them down and explain where your anger came from and why you think they should actually give her a chance. Maybe explain that you saw your mom break your dad's heart and that he has worked hard for a decade to raise you all peacefully and that he deserves some happiness. Take the anger and guilt out of the conversation and really talk to them. That will go a long way to help fix the situation. Next story. Okay, so let me preface this by saying that I indeed have a complex and insecurity regarding my looks. I have been working on it and even attend therapy in which I have learned a lot, which has helped. It's slow, but I'll get there. I have always been very aware that I am a below average looking guy. I have hypothyroidism and it is very difficult for me to maintain a healthy weight. I have skinny arms, a largish belly, prominent love handles, and very thick thighs. I have a pockmarked face, which is visibly asymmetrical, and I am quite dark too. All in all, I know that I'm not the most pleasant person to look at. The rest of my family is extremely good looking, especially my sister, who has model worthy looks. Not kidding. She got married to a very handsome guy, and they have two very beautiful boys. My parents, too, are quite attractive people. Since a young age, I have faced a lot of bullying and people outright asking me whether I was adopted because how else would such an ugly person be born in such a good looking family? Even to this day, if I ever post a picture of myself on social media with my nephews or my sister and brother in law, people comment saying that the picture would have been better without me. Or how do I look the way I do if I have such nice genes? Well, honestly speaking, I do feel bad. But I have also kind of come to expect these comments, and I know that a lot of people do reject me for my looks. During my childhood, in my teens, and even into my life as a young adult, my family never really understood my issues. They loved me, and of course, they would never put me down. So they always countered my complaints or venting with things like, "You are good looking, people are blind," or "You are so smart, so intelligent," and so on. The general love that family showers on you. But that also meant that my insecurities never really got addressed. I learned what I learned on my own, and that's fine. Now, my parents have been looking for a match for me for a few months, and though they have liked a few girls, none have really shown interest in me. We have arranged marriages in my culture. I earn well, I am well educated, and have a good lifestyle. I also like to believe that I am easygoing and don't really have any expectations as such. So my family got into this very confident that they'll find a good match for me. I'm at my sister's place and she burst out venting yesterday about a girl who rejected my match because I look like shit. Not those exact words, but the gist was that. My sister was very offended at first, but I just laughed. I said, "See, I kept telling you that these things matter. Now, at least you know, maybe secondhand, but still, how it feels to be rejected for your looks, something you can't control." She's pissed at me. She told my parents, and now they are irritated too. I didn't mean any harm or to make them feel bad, but I guess I just wanted to show them that I wasn't wrong all these years in what I felt. So AITA? NTA, it's sweet of your sister to get mad on your behalf, but it's also totally fair of you to take this opportunity to point out something that feels true for you that they haven't been listening to. I honestly don't get why the whole family would be pissed about it. Seems like they'd be best off just letting it go. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.